Emergency services are responding to a major incident after 2 helicopters crashed on the Gold Coast this afternoon. And joining me live is aviation expert Neil Hansford. Neil, thanks so much for joining us on the program. Of course, this has happened in just the last few hours or so. I'm just wondering, because the information is pretty thin about how this helicopter crash could have occurred, and in the area that it occurred as well, in Broadwater, right near SeaWorld, with 2 helicopters colliding, one apparently taking off, the other one flying, causing this mid-air collision. How could this have possibly happened in that area, do you know?
Well, when any aircraft runs into another aircraft, invariably it relates to the conduct of the pilots, because their principal responsibility is to observe other traffic. And this is an activity associated with SeaWorld, with an operator with a very big corporation, Servcorp. But unfortunately, it's almost 30 years to the month since we had a similar accident on the Gold Coast. Can you describe that incident from memory? No, this was one that they ended up on South Stradbroke, but it was the usual thing of taking people for a joyride, and in looking at it, some of these joyrides can be from 5, 10, 15 minutes. So you can imagine the number of rotations these helicopters are doing, picking up one group, taking it off, very similar to what happens at Bathurst for the 1000. So it's a pleasure, go and see the Gold Coast, see SeaWorld from above, and unfortunately, these helicopters appear to be almost at full capacity. So 11 out of 13 potential people, 4 have met death, and the other 3 are critical, and there's still further people injured. We are hearing as well, there's reports that one helicopter managed to land safely with 5 people on board after a mid-air collision with 2 helicopters. Does it surprise you as an aviation expert that one was able to land safely? No, it's the road. If you look at the damage to the cockpit of the helicopter that's most critically damaged, that didn't manage to land, it's got the nose area from the front of the glass area has been taken out by the propeller of the other aircraft. So it's a helicopter strike on one aircraft, which has then brought that aircraft down. And during this process of coming down, because one was landing and one was taking off. And obviously, you say that these joy flights happen all the time, but just how common are helicopter accidents and crashes in Australia? Not very. We've got a very, very high record for helicopter operations, and our rules of operation by CASA are probably the most extreme in the world when you look at how good our climate is. So it's not as if we're operating in snow, and the sort of accidents we have is when we're fighting bushfires, or there's been a private flight that's into trees or something. But in a commercial environment like this, where they're operating sightseeing and with a lot of rotations and a lot of activity, these aren't something that happens in the Australian marketplace. It's certainly a horrific scene. For someone who doesn't know a lot about aviation, can you talk us through the role in this situation in air traffic control and what they would have been doing at the time of when one helicopter was taking off and one was flying nearby? Air traffic control wouldn't have been controlling these because it's not on an airport, but they'd be aware of it in the terminal navigation area of the Coolangatta Airport. But these are very visual flying rules, and whilever the 2 pilots have got vision, that's the way they operate. And it's not uncommon, as I say, up at the Bathurst 1000, you can have 6 helicopters coming in and out on sightseeing, and this is it's an avoidable accident, and it's not technical. It's basically the rotor of one helicopter has struck the other helicopter, and I'm not sure which was landing, which was taking off, but and that has brought the helicopter down where the most damage is, where we've got the fatalities and the critical injuries.
Neil Hansford, I really appreciate your insights. Thanks for coming on Newsnight.